All right. Thank you. My talk is going to be a little bit geeky and a little bit earnest. Last October, not very long ago, I started using the carbon zero carbon calculator to measure my carbon footprint, which is the amount of greenhouse gas emissions that I am personally responsible for. I should note that the Carbon Zero calculator, it's a free online calculator, doesn't include food or stuff that you might buy. So it doesn't encompass absolutely everything I do, but it encompasses a significant portion. In my case, my family doesn't seem to buy a lot of new things, so that may not affect our carbon footprint that much, but we do eat, of course. And since October, my data looks like this. What you see in blue is home energy, so that from the carbon zero system could be electricity, gas, heating oil, or coal that you use in your home. In my case, we just have electricity at home, we don't have gas. And you can see the blue goes down in summer and up in winter. We use heating in winter. The red sections are for private transport, and that would be cars or motorbikes. And in my case, we don't own a car. Since ours blew up in 2004, we just bought a home and we had a mortgage, so we decided not to spend $5,000 on replacing the car. But we do borrow a car from time to time, maybe once or twice a week, and every now and then we have been known to drive to Tauranga, which you can see in October 2009. That's us driving to Tauranga to relatives and back. The orange is public transport, and I use buses and the lovely Kiwi Rail trains. In my case, I ride to work 10 k's on sunny days. If it's raining, I just catch the bus because I'm not quite as hardcore as I used to be. And if I'm feeling tired in the evening, then I'll catch the train home. And bikes go free on trains, which is really convenient. Green is for other transport, and you can see we don't have any green, and that means that's planes and long distance coaches. And during this period we didn't fly. We're basically trying not to fly because it's also a big chunk of CO2. And the grey, the little tiny sliver of grey on the top there is waste and recycling. So we put out about 2 rubbish bags a month, and we recycle all our paper and compost food and garden stuff. And all that averages out to 193 kilograms of greenhouse gas emissions per month, which works out at 2 tonnes for the last 12 months for the whole household, and that comes down to 1 tonne per adult. So I'm about responsible for 1 tonne as calculated using the Carbon Zero calculator. Now, as interesting as that is, I also have quite a lot of electricity data, which is slightly relevant. And what you see here is my annual power data going back to 2004. So the red line in the middle there is 2004, when we moved into our new home. I started every night, I read the electricity meter, write it down, feed it into Excel, and create lovely graphs. And throughout 2004, I did a lot of installation projects. So I put 2 layers of insulation in the roof, 2 layers under the floor, and then in late 2006 I insulated the exterior walls of our house using cunning recycled polystyrene beads blown in using a hairdryer and vacuum cleaner, which turns out to be incredibly cheap but very time consuming. And after doing all that insulation work, you can see the lower lines are 2005, 2006, 2007, and then in the start of October 2007 we had our son, Adam, and there's a little uptick there, and then 2009, 2008, 2009, 2010 are all the top ones there, which is basically adding another person to the household impacted our electricity. However, having all this nice electricity data meant that I could do this, which is backfeed all the electricity data along the bottom in blue back to 2004, and then I also have information on holidays we've taken, driving to Tauranga and Auckland and back. So those are the big massive spikes, that's all driving holidays. I put in a fudge factor for driving between holidays and a fudge factor for public transport use. And so this tells a little bit more of an interesting story. It's blindingly obvious that driving up to Auckland and Tauranga causes a massive spike. In January 2009, my business, my brothers and I had a little publishing business, went through a terrible cash flow crisis, and lo and behold, my carbon footprint plummeted. We couldn't afford to go driving around the country. We didn't borrow a car. Instead, we did some small local cycle touring trips from our backyard out to the Rimatuckers and a few other places around Wellington. It should be noted that those trips were just as enjoyable as driving up to Auckland. So there's no change in happiness between the low carbon and the high carbon lifestyles there. Then you can see in April the money started to flow back into the business, and then the shell flew back from Tauranga. So we got some money, we drove to Tauranga to visit the relatives who didn't like us not going up for Christmas, and the shell flew back, and that's what the green bit there is in April 2009. And then someone lent us their car for 4 months, and that was a terrible impact on our carbon footprint. We drove to a climate change conference in Auckland. You can see that terrible spike there. So the interesting thing there is there's a relationship between disposable income and carbon emissions in my case. Now, then what I've done is taken that monthly data and turned it into cumulative data, and so this is showing every year since 2004 in different colours, and you can see up until 2007 we were ending the year at about 2 tonnes for the family. Then we had Annum, our son, and it shot up to closer to 3 tonnes. And then the purple line that isn't finished, that's this year, we've managed to pull back towards 2 tonnes. Mostly by not driving up to Tauranga and Auckland as much. And this is the same data but per person. So if we include annum in our calculations, then you can see we're always hovering around 1 tonne, and this year's the real outlier. This year we're really actually trying to reduce our carbon footprint. And this is per adult, which is a bit fairer because I'm responsible for my son's emissions until he's probably 18, which seems like a long way away. I'll be responsible for whatever he does in terms of carbon footprint. This is, I think, what we have done that has resulted in our low carbon footprint. We don't own a car, but we do borrow a car, so we're not fanatically anti-car. Bike to work on fine days, use train or bus otherwise. We've got a really well insulated house, so it's quite cheap to heat. I don't skimp on heating the house. Avoid flying, and low carbon holidays. And that's about it. Thank you.